finally defeating their 2017 rivals of the Unicorns of Love. But the Unicorns, they don't want to give them that. As we jump into draft for Game 3, so target bans once again. H2K, a bit of pressure on them now to change things up. Will they ban away the Vladimir? Will they continue to take away the Thresh? We've seen a lot of investment from Rakan. You can see H2K, they're thinking a little bit more about what they want to ban.
Now that Cho's been taken off the board, that was the pick traded for Zach in both Game 1 and Game 2. And the thing is, we have to remember that we were skeptical of the draft coming in Game 2. I think to a certain degree, rightfully so, but Unicorns of Love proved us wrong when they were able to execute. And now H2K clearly giving them the same level of respect. But for the Unicorns of Love, bans remaining the same.
But the Janna was the second ban coming out from the Unicorns second time around. This time it will be the Alistar.
Just like Game 1.
Yeah, just like Game 1. So now H2K, where do they take their final shift? Because again, Rakan, Thresh still both available. I imagine UOL are more than happy to give away the Zac, handing Jankos to his first loss. They definitely proved to us that they can do it. Ooh, and a respect ban going over to Samux. So no Vladimir ban for the time being. I don't think Unicorns want to really blind pick it anyway.
And here's the thing, they banned Caitlyn, Tristana's up, and that's the last of the really high priority AD carries that we've seen.
It just means that Samux will likely go towards the Xayah.
Which means the Rakan would be the perfect pick for Hylissang,
Yes,
and now we have to wonder what H2K are thinking. Zach will be the lock-in.
So it's more than likely going to be Xayah and Rakan now for the Unicorns of Love. Something that they've done time and time again. It is a big comfort pick for them as well. And now there will be a big shift up. A very powerful 2v2 in the bottom lane for the Unicorns.
And we've seen them consistently try to force engages in the early game on the bottom side. They tried it with Trundle. But let me tell you, Rakan a little bit better at getting those fights started, especially with the Xayah as backup.
So now H2K, they'll go for the Tristana. They may even lock in their mid laner now, get themselves an early Orianna pick. Very safe, very well-rounded, but you run the risk of Exileh answering with a Talon. He considers it to be a counter, and it's something that he's very comfortable on as well. So H2K, they could alternatively, ooh, okay, this also makes a lot of sense. Chei, one of his best performing supports was that Thresh. It's something that they chose not to ban away this time. And now H2K, they're going to challenge the bot lane of UOL by getting a bit of a strong bottom lane themselves.
I like this. Interrupts the grand entrance if you can play it back in time. Of course, yet again, a comfort pick for Chei. We see a comfort pick for Hylissang on the opposite side. And so often, the catalyst for action in this game has been the bottom lane Vedius. And taking the Thresh there means that Unicorns of Love, no chance to ban away any more support picks. And the Poppy jungle continues to surprise me, but we saw last game how effective it can be when you actually get it rolling, when you can execute on it in fights.
It does concern me, though, that they don't have the same kind of disengage tools against the Zac that they did in Game 2, because the Unicorns of Love had Trundle, Cho, and Poppy, so every time Zac jumped in or tried to jump out, there were loads of ways to interrupt him. Now there are fewer options, but there's a bit more self-peel in the terms of Xayah, and you still have the shielding from the Poppy. No Vladimir will be available this time, which means that there will be a lot of options in the middle lane for Jankos to try and snowball Febi if he can.
LeBlanc taken off the board as well. Those are the only two mid laners taken off. Gnar not going to be an option for Odoamne. Completely different top lane pool this time around. Maokai still up and available. We saw him in Game 1. Odoamne did lose lane, but he was crucial in the team fights to come. And now we have to wonder what the adaptation will be for the top side of the map, as well as the mid lane. Vedius, this is what I love to see in the second pick phase.
A lot of thought.
Well, a lot of thought, and also the solo lane picks, really making full use of that red side. But who are they going to save the counter pick for? Very quick answer to that question.
Oh, how could we forget? This used to be a Chachi classic. Something that had to be banned away from them. Do you remember the Rise, Shen, back from Spring? Something that...
Yo, that Shen was why he won MVP, let's be honest. He's the only man I've seen hands down hard carry a game on Shen in the Spring Split.
Now, H2K, they have a few options. They could go for maybe a Gangplank answer top, or they just go for another tank. Maokai go for a very similar composition to what they had in Game 1. Much better built for team fighting. You could consider running a Jarvan, but I feel like that the Maokai would make the most sense here for H2K.
Cassio locked in, though. Already like this one coming out. Limits the Shadow Dash, all the mobility options for the Rakan. He leaps into a team fight. He may not be quite as quick to leap out.
I feel like a talent is coming.
That's a long Orianna hover there, Vedius.
It is a long Orianna hover.
All right, talk to me about
this would make more sense. This would be more conventional, but it's just in my head something that Exileh would be willing to bring out. Okay.
Oh, that's a mix-up. All right. I was worried when they hovered the Galio, did not work out. But the Exileh Syndra, this is not something we've seen very much. He is 2-0 on it over the course of the season, has decent score lines, but just not a pick we see very often. Going up against Febiven on the Cassio, feels like a little bit of a gamble, but from what we saw last game, you can never count Exileh out.
I think it's always a risk when you're running a low mobility mid lane mage against a Zac and a Maokai. However, it was the final pick. They decided to go for a bit of a counter. I wouldn't say that Syndra directly counters the Cassio in terms of early trading, especially at level 2. Cassio can have a lot of options. Out with a lot of the movement speed that she has, stunning her can be a little difficult. However, you do have an ultimate that can smash you in the face, and Cassio has to get within range to do damage to you. So you're always going to be a threat of being bursted out early on. I'm excited for this early game from both junglers. I feel like there will be a fair amount of investment from Jankos to try and get Febiven ahead, whereas I think Xerxe is going to invest more time in the bot side. We have Shen, level 6 mark, along with the Poppy, who, to be fairness to Xerxe, twice now, level 3 gank bot lane. They've been trying to get Samux and Hylissang into a position where they can carry. I think this is very much going to be a game of the junglers.
And we've seen action in the bot lane, and we've seen top laners define team fights and set their teams up for success. It is the Maokai for Odoamne. It is Vizicacsi's signature Shen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready for Game 3. Pride on the line for both of these teams. H2K versus Unicorns of Love. One last dance in the regular season. But who's going to lead?
I think the audience is pretty convinced which way it'll go.
H2K steadily building a fan base. Audience slightly nervous about chanting on camera. Definitely fair. You have to get used to it.
Typically, we hear the Unicorns, the Love Hurts crew, be extremely vocal, and in their defense, they have been, especially when the Unicorns are winning. But today, perhaps a little bit more timid, reserved. They are aware of the foe that they face in H2K, who have been looking strong. But the score is even, Drakos. We're 1-1. Final game. They're playing for pride. H2K, they said they wanted to, or Prolly said he wanted to destroy Unicorns of Love.
And he did in Game 1, but can he do it in Game 3, Vedius? Because H2K, they earned first place. We can't take them away from them. They performed more consistently. They performed better over the course of the regular split. But losing out to Unicorns of Love when you're playing your hardest, when you're putting everything on the line, people might wonder, was Unicorns of Love more deserving of that bye into the semifinals?
It's a big question, bold statement to make. We'll have to see, because we still have a game ahead of us. And let's talk a little bit about what both these comps want to do, right? And let's pull the TLDR. Fight.
Ooh.
They want to fight, Drakos. I don't think either of us is surprised.
All right, but that has been the TLDR just about every time. So let's get a little deeper, because we heard the devs talk about scaling, so let's talk about it, because it feels like it has, outside of very strong early game snowballs, always come down to scaling on both teams.
Yes, and both teams scale relatively well. The big difference is going to be between the Cassio and the Syndra. Late game, Cassio does so well against tanks because of her consistent DPS and the amount of damage and raw output that she's able to provide later into the game. Classic level 1 skirmishing from Samux and Hylissang.
Well, and from the Xayah Rakan lane, right? The power of the way the synergy between their abilities is just so strong. The grand entrance, such a good way to start fights off. And once again, we see Hylissang being willing to trade life to get to the faster level 2.
Another knockup.
Generally just positive trading.
Here it comes, level 2, it's about to hit.
I don't know if they're going to all in for it.
It's the Unicorns bot lane.
He has Ignite, that's true. And Thunderlords.
Yeah, I noticed the Thunderlords.
Wind Speakers, some people like Courage of the Colossus. Hylissang likes damage.
He likes Thunderbolts. I think it's definitely a risk Maybe he's running the wrong masteries. Not sure. Maybe he's just decided to go for something.
I think we just have
different.
to assume that this man wants to kill people, Vedius.
Maybe.
And I think it's a safe assumption because just like game 1,
right, Xerxe, level 3 gank bot again.
just like game 2, here comes Xerxe.
Oh, they're going for the dive, though. Remember how this played out in game 1, Drakos?
And they're against a Thresh, the Flay, the Exhaust.
There's no ulti on Shen yet. He's only level 3. But Jankos, he's in the vicinity too. He's reading the play.
Knock up. Chei taking a decent amount of damage. Clean cut, starting to work through the health bar.
Ooh.
Oh, goes over the wall. Is going to spot a slightly taken camp. Chei going to land the hook. That's bad news. Xerxe going to pull him right back out, though, from Jankos. Knocked into the wall. Actually, a trade benefiting Xerxe in the end. No damage follow-up there between the Thresh and the Zac.
So nothing really gained or lost from either side. Xerxe was still able to get a bit of farm. He's a bit behind in experience from Jankos because he's done a full clear. But everything very even in the game overall. So I want to backtrack a little bit to the point that we were discussing earlier in terms of scaling in mids. The thing about Syndra into Cassio is very early levels, things are very difficult for the Syndra. Largely because Febiven, all he has to do is land poison, and the cooldown between a single one of your Qs versus a single one of Febi's Es is quite big. So even if you land your Q, Febiven will just straight up out DPS you. So unless you land that stun, you're at a high risk of losing your life, which is why Exileh is being constantly forced underneath his tower. He realizes that he's not going to be able to trade early. Once he hits level 6, once he gets a bit of mana and magic resistance crucially in his items, that's when he can start to challenge the Cassiopeia, and more importantly, that's where he has a lot more wave clear, so he will be able to just push the Cassio out. So the sidestep so far, very good.
A lot of trading going on in the mid lane. You gotta respect Exileh for getting aggressive there, but on the top side, Odoamne taking a bad end of these.
Wow.
Flash available, flash out. Vizicsacsi, is he gonna drop? Just barely making it out of tower aggro. Is gonna be okay, but Vizicsacsi once again dominating on the top side.
I don't think Chachi was expecting to do that much damage because he saw it and he was like, oh, I can kill him. And then Odo's like, oh, I can die. So you saw the immediate double flash from both top laners rather, once they realized. Now another engage from Hylissang.
Sweeps out, Grand Entrance in. Battle Dance to safety and a Gleaming Quill to stack on some healing.
But this is one of the big things that Shen does have. A lot of people don't realize how much trading power he has in the early levels. He can, if he lands that taunt, he can get a lot of harassment down, especially if he gets his sword to come through you on the way back. He gets all that bonus attack speed. Really powerful early trader. And he's been really getting the better of Odo pretty much throughout this entire series.
Yeah, we've seen Odo have a few... Odo has been, or at least was in game 1, bigger impact, but that's going to be all in on to Chei on the bottom side of the map. Heal coming out. Thunderlord's damage is going to be good. Chei may just go down right here. That's going to be first blood. Hylissang battle dancing out to safety. Nuclear not going to be able to fire back. The UOL... Oh, UOL bot lane just finding purchase.
2 out of 3 games, Rakan was banned from Hylissang. This has been one of his most common and comfort picks that has allowed him to have so much success with his AD carry Samux. Now you're seeing it come to fruition once more. The Unicorns bottom lane, they get their first advantage. They come out with an early gold lead, and Unicorns of Love, 74% win rate when they have a gold lead at 20 minutes.
All right, this is the series of win rate stats. I'm starting to get that, Vedius. But the thing I want to point out, the biggest factor as well, outside of this bot lane already snowballing, is the top lane, because we set our sights up there. You talked about Vizicsacsi dominating the lane. This is exactly what he wants, because the Shen level 6 is now coming in, and we've seen over the course of this series, whichever top laner can offer more impact very often is the top laner winning the fights for his teams, setting the pace for the game.
And we have to remember, you might think that even though Odo, he died here and there, you didn't think it had that much of an impact, but every time he died, Chachi got a little bit more experience. He was an item ahead. And these small advantages just built up until that Cho'Gath was too big to be comparable to that of Gnar. And Odo's impact was so much less compared to his game 1 Maokai, where he was just way too tanky. UOL, they couldn't get through him as ultimates were on point. And now we get to see which of the 2 tanks can have the greater impact in Game 3. It's always been a battle. There's always been such a rivalry between these two. I remember back in spring, Odo was so irritated when he saw Chachi at the top of the stats video that we made. And he was like, how can I improve? How can I get better? And he's always believed himself to be one of the best in Europe. And while others have challenged him, you can never take anything away from Chachi, who, while he definitely dies a few times, will always have a good performance.
Definitely the case. Few rough performances here and there. but for the most part, a consistent member of the Unicorns of Love. And Vedius, level 6 is now starting to come in on the bottom side for Unicorns of Love as well. Only level 4 for Chei. He's going to pick up a little bit of extra experience here, but if you're H2K, you can see Jankos on the bottom side. You got to be scared. A dive could be coming at any moment.
Keeping my eyes on the Zac and the Poppy. Both of them hanging around the bottom lane. Nuclear and Chei have spent a lot of their time underneath their own tower. And that CS advantage is starting to build for Samux. Both AD carries do scale exceptionally well. And you can also see the coin coming out from Hylissang, very common. But I'm wondering, like, will they go for the Arn sensor? Quite possibly. You can shield on the Rakan. You can proc it. Same for Chei. See if they decide to go for that as the game progresses. It's the blues collected by Exileh.
Lost Chapter comes in as well, but you can see just about all mana and health itemization for Febiven may not have the most in terms of damage output, but given how quickly you can spam that Twin Fang, not going to be much of a concern. And Vizicsacsi, whenever we talk about Shen, we talk about the early Shen ults, the first two, the crucial moments in the game. The ult is up and available, but Xerxe is only level 5. Unicorns of Love know that they are stronger, know that they have the Shen to back them up, and they're using the threat, the pressure of this Shen. Start to lay down damage onto this tower. Jankos, Flash Lantern out to safety. Creep Wave starts to deplete. Hylissang sticking around maybe a bit too long, but the Battle Dance will take him to safety. H2K will respond. Maokai sitting in base. TP at the ready if he needs to come.
I'm surprised Jankos went in, knowing that Exileh was on his way down. They had the vision just inside their entrance to their jungle, and now, ooh, good charm.
There's Rakambo moving forward. The chain CC. No chance for him to escape the flash over the wall. The only option for Febiven to make it out. And now there's a pause. But you can see
I think Exileh was expecting a little more damage there. We can
potentially
get a little bit more confirmation a little bit later, but Febiven had to use both the summoners. Face checking a brush without the proper vision. Bit of a mistake there from Febiven.
And when we look at it too, just such a brutal series of events. The chain CC comes through perfectly. Chei says, hey man, I got you. I'm gonna throw that Dark Lantern. Oh look, there's a Poppy. There's a steadfast presence, and suddenly that means that the only option, the only way to get out is to flash. Steadfast presence, any leap, any kind of dash, it'll stop. But those blinks will take you to safety.
Oof, tense game right now. Game 3. Unicorns of Love, they have the early gold lead. We're still waiting to see them use that Shen ulti in the bottom side, but they're always grouping. Do you remember what we talked about in Champion Select, Drakos? It was going to be very much a battle of the junglers. Wanted to see Jankos invest a lot of his time in the middle lane, try and get Febiven ahead, get him rolling before this Syndra gets a few of her items and she has this strong mid-game spike. Whereas UOL, they wanted to invest their jungle attention into the bottom side. Time after time, I say that too often, regularly, we see Xerxe send his way down bot, try and set up a gank at the level 3 mark. He did it once again. This time, though, Jankos was in the vicinity. He was able to read the play and push Xerxe back. But it doesn't matter because Samux and Hylissang, they already got the 2 versus 2 kill. They did what they needed to do, which was get that good start. So right now, Unicorns of Love, they have the early lead. They're setting themselves up for success. And it's going to boil down to 2 big, or not 2 specifically, but big team fights later on into the game.
And an update on the pause, folks. Pause coming in from Exileh reporting that he did not see his ultimate go off. He did not see the animation. However, the cooldown was used, did not see the damage come in. So League officials are investigating, watching the play back, making sure the ult went off as intended. We will keep you updated as the investigation moves further. You can see the ref now talking to him as we speak. However, Vedius, the other thing that really surprised me, we praised Nuclear and Chei. The desk praised Nuclear and Chei. These guys never die. They never die when someone comes to die them. They always find a way to survive. But when nobody came to dodge them, when it was a 2v2, when the Rakan and the Xayah were given up, UOL found that opening. And you just got to say, we've praised Samux, and now I feel like we got to give a little bit to Hylissang as well. When he gets these championed, he finds these early advantages.
And I just love the fact that Unicorn's bottom lane were relentlessly aggressive. They were always trying to find trades. They were always trying to find fights. Use the power of the Xayah and Rakan to net themselves their own advantages. And it caught H2K unawares and got them that early kill.
All right, well, our replay team has put together a replay so we, as an audience and as casters, can take a look at the event that is being discussed. We'll get it for you in super slow-mo.
So here we go. We're going to be looking at the Syndra ultimate specifically. Did Exileh deal the deeps? Would he have gotten the kill? Because it's a big deal being able to get that kill down onto the Cassio. So this is where we see Jankos come in. This is what surprised me, because it felt like that he wasn't reading Exileh coming from behind the tri-brush when they should have had full vision of it. They have to disengage away from here. They make a rotation round up to the tri where there is no vision right now for H2K. Febiven walks up thinking that he's fine, and this is where the play starts. So again, keep your eyes on Exileh. There's the stun. Yep. And there's the ulti damage. That looked like a lot of damage to me.
All right, well, we'll have words back from League Ops, see if anything else was fishy there that we may not have been able to catch in the replay, make sure everything was shipshape from Exileh's perspective as well, but looks, I think for the most part, looks like it was.
I think he expected more damage, and I also think that he used his ulti when his W was in the air, so it also didn't get triggered. So only 3 balls actually hit the Cassio rather than 4. But basically, he didn't do as much damage as I'm sure he would have liked.
Yeah, and of course, he's running the Storm Ranger Surge, not the Thunder Lord.
That's very
true. And additionally,
as well.
You do have the early Null Magic Mantle coming in for Febiven, so very possible that, you know, in his gut, in his instinct, you know, you play 100, 200 games on a champion, you know when someone should be dead, but maybe just missing one of those small calculations.
Yep, that's fair. You always want to be better safe than sorry, especially in a game 3.
Yeah, in game 3. Like, let's be clear, this kill could decide so much.
So I'm looking forward now. What this does mean is that Unicorns of Love, they do have a bit of a pressure advantage. They will be able to set up some vision around Drake. It is the Cloud. So whether or not they want to invest that much into it is up for debate, but being able to take it off the board, maybe set up for another one, and maybe RNG will be in your favor so that you can go towards those Infernals or the Mountains or even the Ocean Drake, which a lot of pros have been praising recently, but it's definitely a big objective that UOL have the priority over right now.
Interesting, too. I wonder how the pressure is weighing on the members of H2K. Notoriously a more jovial, more emotional team on stage is very often the case, but I have been updated that we are going to take one more look at the replay in question. Super slow-mo this time of specifically the instance, so we'll let you guys decide for yourselves whether or not this was enough.
So I'm just keeping my eye on Exileh, and I'll talk through as he uses each of his abilities, right? So there's the Q, there's the first ball, there's the stun, right? He's going to grab it here, and he ulties while the W is in animation. Now, the only thing I have question of is how that ball ended up back behind Exileh, because it looked to me that only 3 balls hit rather than all 4. But in my head, all 4 shouldn't have hit because 1 was traveling in the air.
But it was traveling in the air towards its target, so maybe something.
That could just be a graphical bug. Thing is, I don't fully know the full damage extent of the ulti, but what I do know is that he used his ulti while the W was in animation.
And a reminder here that we are not ultimately the League Ops teams that decided. They are working diligently behind the stage to figure out what is going on. You can see our head referee coming on stage to talk to Exileh now. So ultimately, it will be his decision and the decision of the League operations team as to what happens here. So but we thought we'd give you guys context. Yeah. You know, we thought we'd show you the replay. We thought we'd let you guys form your own opinions, see what exactly happened in the exchange. And
also to help you understand why the pause came through. Because in the heat of the moment, it's happened before where what you expect in your brain, that should have been a kill in their eyes. You could see that the rest of UOL, they'd already started disengaging, and then he's able to get his cleanse and his flash out at the last second. So it's definitely understandable why you'd want to throw that out. And you do want to be able to end your regular season on a high. 10 weeks of competition we've had. Drakos quarterfinals start next week. Promotion tournament as well. A lot of cool stuff.
Interesting to see. Well, for now, we are going to send it to the analyst desk while league officials figure out what the next step is going to be. So we'll head over there for now.
Thank you. We are waiting. I had the feeling that they were going to get back into game.
It looked pretty close. Headset was back on.
Yeah, it looked like it was almost there. Obviously, serious matter, because even though it doesn't mean anything for the standings this match, you see that the 2 teams are definitely very hyped and poised to take this one. Let's talk about what we know so far. Unfortunately, it is also the topic of the bug, but Exileh going to Syndra, not something we had expected at all. So at least commending the Unicorns for that change in pace and change in strategy.
I liked that they're trying new things for Exileh, and I call them new things despite it being one of the most standard picks in League of Legends right now, but it's not something he's been using this split. But if you are H2K, you're actually fine seeing this pick. Because again, it means that right now the late game is in favor of Febiven and not Exileh like in the last game. So while it is a bit of a surprise and a good pick here from Exileh, I don't think H2K actually cares at all.
Right, I don't think so either. As we're getting closer to a situation where this Syndra can actually have that big impact on the game, I kind of wanted to see the top lane matchup be different here. I wanted to see maybe not the Shen come through, because I think Odoamne has actually been disappointing a little bit when you look at the 1-versus-1 matchup. Maybe if they'd have picked more of a carry top laner for Odoamne, I think that may have been a better way up against Vizicsacsi, but it's an awkward situation in the draft.
Yeah, I think Unicorns also did try and hinder Odoamne as much as possible. Like, they were Narban coming in to be like, hey, you're not going to play this champion right now. We have Renekton gone as well, so it is actually very difficult for Odoamne to pick a carry here, simply because we have Shen already being locked in by Vizicsacsi. You don't really want to play Kled against the Shen. You couldn't play Rumble, that was banned away as well. Nice mic.
Nice one. How did that happen?
Comes in through the side.
We also got a technical pause for our microphones. So this one's coming
and then
in.
back to us.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything in the mic?
We were talking about top lane.
Drop a beat.
I'm just saying there's so many bans for Odoamne that was really hard. That you can see the Rumble ban, the Gnar ban, the Renekton ban, and when Shen is already locked in, you don't want to play Kled against it. So I think they were kind of like, there are no carries left. Here's Maokai.
That is fair, and I think the Maokai still can have that impact, especially when you look at the teamfight phase. I feel like after all of the hype talk at the beginning, like Odoamne is like, I'm gonna win, everything's gonna be great. That's where it just has been a bit of a letdown for me with H2K.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Just as a reminder, we are just in a pause. We should be getting into game as soon as possible. So we're just discussing what has happened so far. Obviously, one of the things was given up by H2K is then the Xayah and the Rakan went over to the side of the Unicorns of Love. And you and I were actually discussing how in your mind it was fine not to ban the Rakan per se, but in the first phase, but you actually really don't want Unicorns of Love to get it in their hands either.
Yeah, I just think Hylissang is scary on Rakan because he is the man who wants to be the main engage on this team. You can set up so many plays with Rakan specifically. So I think there's a world where you could have banned the Rakan over the Kalista, but I think actually these adaptations here from H2K made a lot of sense, especially banning Cho'Gath.
Well, that is on our pick and ban talk, but I did get the note, rather, my lord, get the note that we will be playing through, so that is very good for H2K and Unicorns of Love. We'll be getting back into the game with the casters.
Sorry. Pauses suck, but luckily we're about to get back in a game, and I guarantee it is going to be hype. Ultimately, the decision from the league operations team was to continue playing through in the game. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to play through. We're going to leave off right from that moment where Febiven narrowly escaped, burning his flash, not quite dying as Exileh had hoped. And we'll see if maybe next time Exileh can hit him in the face with some balls and kill him.
I like the tone that you used. Ah, alas, he was lost. But the great of his flash.
Yeah.
Did he truly die? No. Well, what it does mean is that Unicorns of Love, recap, they have a 1,000 gold lead right now. They currently sit on 1 kill to 0 because Samux and Hylissang were able to get that great first blood down the bottom lane. And as you can see, Febiven did in fact walk away with his life. And now we will be returning to the game that is known as League of Legends.
Woo! League of Legends! All right, folks, we're back. Game 3, H2K versus the Unicorns of Love. Reminder, these guys are not playing for stakes, but they are playing for pride. H2K has never beaten Unicorns of Love in a series in 2017. That could change today as we are once again in a Game 3. It is do or die. And right now, the standout performance has been from Samux and Hylissang, who secured that early kill. But as we move later into the game, Vedius, I think we're still waiting to see that Shen make the impact we talked about.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Drakos. Keep your eyes on Mr. Vizicsacsi. This man, with the Shen, will be looking to utilize that ultimate to make a play down in the bottom half. He has the Tiamat for push. He went for early Merc Treads to mitigate some of the pitiful magic damage that a Maokai does have. And the classic. The Hylissang go for an early roam after his first ban.
Looking for it now, and you can see Jankos on your screen. Man, we have been talking about a decent amount. Unfortunately, nothing to connect the stretching strikes to. Not quite as ideal in those 1v1 scenarios. But Vedius, when we looked at these guys, we talked a lot about the expected jungle impact, and I feel like it's been, you know, back and forth over the course of the series, but this game, it feels like a lot of what Jankos has been trying to do has been neutralized by Xerxe always being around at about the same time.
Well, the biggest thing I feel about this early game so far is that even Exileh has been moving down to the bottom lane. So Jankos, the lane that he would like to invest ganks in around the mid, hasn't really been an option for him. He did a full early clear. He came down bots to try and stop what Xerxe was trying to do. And it's just been a lot of denial for him in terms of his options and pathing that haven't allowed him to try and get the same sort of early pressure as he had did in Game 1 and Game 2. But now the lanes have returned to normal. You can see Febiven does have a slight edge in this 1 versus 1 for the time being. And Jankos finally can look for that gank.
Moving forward, Stretch and Strike does not connect. Exileh gonna fire back a bit of damage of his own. Ulti comes out. Now Febiven just trading back as aggressively as he can. You can see not just a Null Magic Mantle anymore, but a Negatron Cloak coming in for Febiven. So I think it very well may be the Abyssal Mask that we've seen kind of rise to popularity in the tank meta.
After its buffs, a lot more tanks were picking it up. And now we see the first tower going down in favor of Unicorns of Love as well. So that gold lead is suddenly snowballed very swiftly in their favor. Febiven looking for another trade.
And we look at it, Vedius, it's really the result of a single play from Hylissang and Samux on the bottom side, plus the invisible pressure of the Shen on the H2K. But find out if Xerxe stayed too long. Will just be the secure on the red buff. Nope. Steadfast presence, not going to get the chance to connect. H2K kind of desperate to get the collapse here, but I can't say I blame him. 2.5k gold deficit against the Unicorns of Love, against such a beautiful animal people duo, has to be frustrating.
That's how we go back, holding hands.
It's true.
It's how we build synergy as a caster pair. It's much more PG than
to be fair, you did. Was it Tango you taught me how to do?
I
taught
did
me how to
teach you
Tango.
a waltz as well.
Oh, you did teach me the waltz. That's true. That was a good time.
My mother taught me that. It was definitely a valuable skill for building synergy with my
Surprisingly simple, folks. That's all I'm going to say. Do not be intimidated by ballroom dance. I don't think that there's any ever a reason in your life you'll need it outside of weddings, but maybe worth learning.
So now we're looking at the top lane. No swap actually from Samux and Hylissang. Quite interesting because with the tower gone, it now becomes a little harder to take advantage of that Shen. I feel like that they should have swapped up to the top side. And I think that's what H2K were expecting. You can see Chei is already in the top lane, and Nuclear was making his way up there, but he actually had to walk back down. So for now, Unicorns, they're just going to keep things the way that they are.
And I just want to update everyone really quickly. One of the issues due to the pause, summoner spell cooldowns are not being accurately reflected in your spectator HUD. This is fixed as they are used again. However, keep in mind some flashes that look like they might not be up. Some teleports may not be up currently, but the next time they are used, it will go back to normal. So hesitant to say if there's any flash advantages, because we don't know.
I want to say that when the play happened at 9:42, I believe, at 14:42, flashes should be back up for everyone. So I want to roughly say more or less that will be the point. Now, early Abyssal Mass being completed by Febiven. I like this early rush of magic resistance. I feel like a Banshee spell might have been better, but it's just showcasing the respect that he has for Exileh and his early damage, and he wants to make sure that he's not going to get caught out of position and suddenly shut down.
And of course, one of the things we have to consider is there's so much just incremental magic damage coming in from a Poppy, coming in from a Shen as well, so very defensive choice, but as the later scaling thing, you may be having the option. Featherstorm's going to come out. Where's the Blade Caller? Does pull it back on a Chei. Vizicsacsi now coming in. The Charm, they're looking for the re-engage. Out comes the Maokai. Xerxe, can he find the disengage? Will knock the Maokai out of the fight. That's going to stop H2K in their tracks. Vizicsacsi going to look to keep this one going, but Nuclear uncontested on the side. Poppy keeping it up. Cell Division has been used. Vizicsacsi is fearless as he pushes forward. He wants that kill on to Chei. Now pulled back. Jankos is going to drop. It's the Battle Dance to make it out to safety. The Grand Entrance trying to get out. It's the Grand Exit in the end. UOL taking the skirmish.
Unicorns, they win the 4v4. Samux, his positioning and play was spectacular in that fray, but you also have to give a lot of credit to Hylissang as Unicorns. They might be looking for another fight.
Rinse and repeat. Where are they going to go? Lantern takes him out to safety. Steadfast presence not quite close enough. Nuclear trying to deny some of these backs. When Vedius, these explosions of aggression, we just still have to look at the gold, though. It just continues to look better and better for the Unicorns of Love.
And you can see here, H2K, they tried to make a play because they know that they are slowly falling further and further behind. And ganking Xayah can be difficult, but the setup here was very promising from H2K. You still have the elastic shot come in from Jankos, he brings back Samux, but then the disengage here from Xerxe was spectacular, because then the big front line is gone. Jankos is actually very squishy this early into the game, and with Samux now not being in any danger of no Maokai to provide that CC, they know that they can just hard commit. And bear in mind, Febiven did a great job of keeping Exileh away from the fight, but that meant that he couldn't himself get into the fray either. And he is one of the biggest damage dealers early on into the game, which enabled UOL to win out in that skirmish.
Frustration on the face of Jankos as well. A play that they felt confident in engaging and did not work out for them in the end. You can see the immense amount of damage put down by Shen over the course of the fight. Has some of that max health damage on the passive, or rather on the Q. And I gotta say, just Vizicsacsi reminding us why he has been so good at this champion. As we say, Hylissang make yet another bold move to the top side of the map, but is gonna make it out unscathed.
He gets the vision down in the entrance to H2K's jungle, which is what he wanted. Jankos not having the same sort of early game that he was able to exert in game 1. Unicorns of Love, they always find a way back, Drakos. Every time the predictions are against them. Every time. H2K, they always look really good. H2K, they're always looking promising. Maybe Deficio's the real curse for H2K. Who knows? But they haven't lost yet. They still have Tristana. They still have Cassio.
I don't know if you guys can hear it at home, but half the audience went, oh, Vedius. Challenging for alpha male of the color caster team. Bold claims there, sir.
The funny thing is, earlier on in the day for rehearsals, Deficio asked me what my prediction was, and I said, I believe that Unicorns will win 2-1. And he was like, that was just pulled out of your hat. And I'm like, I just have a feeling, Deficio, I have a feeling. And there's still a possibility that it can come to fruition, but there's still a lot of the game left. We're approaching that 20-minute mark, and you know how important that is to determine who the winner might be.
Unicorns of Love. The fights in the mid lane, usually the case. 20 minutes is always when they come online, but they've come online so much earlier this time around. The chain CC comes in! Goodbye, Nuclear! Samux keeps it clutch. Can they keep it going? Xerxe looking for the escape out, but he is going to be grounded. Does make it out just barely in time. Stretching Strike not going to connect. Hook not going to connect either. Vizicsacsi split pushing on the bottom side. This is a massive win for the Unicorns.
Wow, they get themselves a kill onto Nuclear. They're going to get a tower. H2K cannot turn the fight around, and all the while Xerxe did not have to use his ultimate. He is split pushing in the bottom lane onto this tier 2 tower. Everything going perfectly for the Unicorns of Love. I doubt he's going to be able to get it with Nuclear on the way. Actually, they're moving pretty slowly.
And we've seen Vizicsacsi's not worried about sacrificing his life for these towers. He's just going to stick on it. He may have to give it up in the end. Can he walk it out? Still has the Spirit's Refuge.
Here comes Cassio. I don't think he's getting out of this. But now UOL, they should just be
Rich Herald. They have the option to take it. It's a big gold lead for Unicorns of Love right now. This kill back could be very important, but it's taking so long to kill Vizicsacsi.
He does so much
and he wants to just kill Nuclear. Vizicsacsi is going to get knocked back. He still wants to do it. Spirit's Refuge. Nuclear just barely able to survive. In a 3v1, he almost finds the kill. Odoamne going to make it out, courtesy of the slow on the Righteous Glory, but Exileh in the meantime has gotten a tower in the mid lane. Unicorns of Love are dominating in game 3. Vedius and H2K just look like they are falling apart under the pressure.
Unicorns of Love. And this team, they always find a way. Every single time. They almost lose to the Mysterious Monkeys. They always look challenged. They get destroyed by Vitality.
And Vedius, this is the old guard and the new coming together to bring this home for the Unicorns of Love.
Oh no!
Oh, well, the clock plays in favor of H2K for now. Baron has now spawned, but Vizicsacsi having a monster performance. Samux as well having a monster performance. One of the younger, newer players of the lineup, and Hylissang as well when it counts the most. No longer being over-aggressive, but just aggressive enough, Vedius.
And you can just see, again, we talked about it earlier, but it's worth mentioning once more. The Rakan bans that came out in Game 1 and Game 2, they would deserve it. It was something that Hylissang has so much comfort on. He's had a lot of success on it through the regular season, but they let it through. They thought that it would be okay. Chei and Nuclear, so well known for getting through laning phase, surviving, holding on to whatever is thrown against them. They showed that in Game 1, 3 people bot and they still come away with the kill. But in Game 3, they could not do it. In Game 3, it was Samux and Hylissang that were able to get the kills that they needed. And it is in Game 3, the Unicorns walk away with a massive gold lead at 20 minutes into the game.
Massive indeed, Vedius. This is the second largest gold lead. Unicorns of Love have had it 20 minutes over the course of the entire split. So if they were looking for an opportunity and a timing to show up, they damn well picked a good one. That lead for the Unicorns at H2K. It was UOL with their backs against the wall in game one. They weren't able to pull it home, but H2K at this point just hoping they can stall it out, that they can make it late enough in the game, because right now, this is Unicorns of Love map. And there's not a lot of options here for H2K. But Vedius, we check in. You want to know what that lead looks like? That lead looks like a Titanic Hydra. It looks like a Leandries and a Morellonomicon. Two items finished almost across the board for the UOL lineup.
Do you know what we say about two items, Drakos? They're a spike. And do you know what the Unicorns do with those spikes?
Put them in people's faces.
Well, first they put them on their own face because they're a unicorn.
Oh, got it.
And then they charge into the enemy and they pierce the shield that H2K tries to use to prevent them.
This is a really weird unicorn metaphor, but I like it. We got there.
Man. That's me. Now, let's have a look at how they force these fights, because they do have a few great engage options. You have the Rakan with the follow-up from the Shen, or they have the flank from the Poppy. But their ideal, again, is to have the enemy engage upon them, because they want Nuclear to overextend ever so slightly so that Hylissang can get that engage, the follow-up taunt from Chachi, all the while Samux is just peeling for himself. He has his ulti, he has the root from the feathers, he has the kiting power that you get from Xayah, all the while relying on the support from Exileh and a bit of peel from Poppy. Whereas H2K, they have a lot of power if they can get onto the right targets. That is a low mobility, squishy Syndra. If you use the Miasma from the Cassio, she can lock down and prevent Hylissang from having that level of mobility that can threaten the backline. So H2K, it's all about, once again, very similar to Game 2, how they set up these fights. And in Game 2, H2K, whenever they wanted to force the fights, a lot of the time they fell apart. And UOL, they were always really good at being able to punish. Perhaps they can adapt, even though they're at a 7,000 gold deficit.
And of course, Vedius, when it all comes down to Game 3 between these teams, engage. Not going to connect, both teams backing off. When it came down to it between these teams, Vedius, how could it end any other way but team fighting, and who would be the better team fighter? It's the biggest thing we've talked about, the biggest difference between these teams so frequently. The Unicorns of Love may have found the pick. This could get them the Baron. This is massive for the team. Jankos trying to make it out. If the jungler goes down, it's a free Baron for the Unicorns of Love. They're backing off, though. Nuclear dishing out so much damage. Shen not committing the ultimate quite yet.
Nice sidestep.
Jankos holds on to his life. It means the Baron is safe for now, but Unicorns of Love definitely control the area.
It was a good engage from the Unicorns, but the disengage from H2K was even better. Chei with really good footwork, avoiding all the crucial abilities, along with Jankos not being afraid to utilize his ultimate at just the right time to get away with his life. Febiven and Nuclear both joining into the jungle to provide the damage needed to force UOL back. And with Exileh with no mana, Febiven and Nuclear knew that they could win that fight. So really good response there from H2K, but you can see how much pressure they're losing in their own jungle. Unicorns using this gold lead as much as they can to pressure it even further.
Vedius, H2K are playing on the razor's edge. If they'd made one more mistake even in that engage, if someone had died, it got taken down, that could be Baron. And once the base breaks open, it feels so impossible to come back against a lead like UOL's. But as long as they hold on, maybe they've still got a shot. But it's 4 towers to 0. 7K gold lead. The hook to start it off, though. H2K are looking to get some blood of their own. Febiven in the back. Nice disengage comes in for Xerxe, though. He's not having it. You fight on the terms of Unicorns of Love, or you don't fight at all.
There's just too much mobility on the side of Hylissang. The coaching staff and management of the Unicorns sitting with the fans. They want to feel the power, feel the love in the room tonight. H2K, their backs are against the wall. They still have the scaling potential. Cassio and Tristana, you can never afford to underestimate them in the late game, but they are forced to play defensively. They cannot be the ones to proactively make the moves. It is in control of the Unicorns right now, and it is on them to make the mistake that H2K can try and capitalize on.
Now, though, it all becomes about the Baron. And in order to take the Baron, you need the vision, you need to play out the bait perfectly, or you need to make that pick. So we're just waiting. Teams not going to fight for the vision. H2K know they can't afford to take that fight. But literally, Vedius, we are one fight away from a Baron, and a Baron is very often the key to closing the game.
I know it's...
I hope other people feel the tension too, because
I just felt dramatic music.
it felt dramatic, yes. I want the Law and Order music, you know, when they change theme to like bum bum. You know what I'm talking about? You know?
No, I've never seen Law and Order.
What you need to know is it's dramatic music, and I want it to be like 26 minutes. Unicorns of Love, H2K.
What about like Friends? I'll be there
No, stop,
for
stop,
you.
stop. Game 3, last series of the split. Please, no Friends.
All right, so Baron, H2K, they were able to get the scuttle grab. There's just one out. Impressive that H2K have still held on to so much vision.
Oh, this is the other option.
Here we go.
Surprise, Baron. Unicorns of Love know that they have the vision control.
No TP. That's not super fast, but it is going down.
Steadfast presence can stop Jankos from getting into the pit. They're pulling back. They may just look for the fight. Odoamne has committed. Kitty Cat's coming in the chase. C on the wall. Febiven and Nuclear on the way in. Odoamne going to get burned down before the fight even starts. That's exactly what Unicorns of Love wanted. The pick is hand-delivered by the side of H2K.
And now they're going back to the Baron. Or they might just look for another fight. Unicorns, they seem a little indecisive right now. They're going to go for mid lane. Their eyes are on that tier 2 tower.
It's going to be so hard for H2K to move over. Febiven taking the safe way, cannot afford to walk through his own jungle because even that is no man's land against the Unicorns of Love. Not sure what brushes they could be hiding in, but saw what happened to his top laner. Can't afford to let the same happen to himself. Wave now pressured in mid lane. Unicorns of Love getting mid priority before they set up their vision. Much cleaner macro play than we often expect, but when the pressure is on, they are certainly performing. Baron bait comes down. Looks like they're going to keep going on this one. Committing to it. It's all going to come down to the steal. Can Unicorns of Love get it? Jankos leaping in, and maybe too early, though. Now being pulled back. H2K just trying to win a fight now. They know that they can get them off the Baron if they kill a couple of members. Jankos has been taken down. Unicorns of Love looking for an opportunity to engage. Featherstorm comes out. Where's the Blade Caller? Poppy knocked up.
Whoa! That's a lot of
still
damage.
alive.
But H2K, they've achieved their goal of forcing UOL off the Baron. This means that UOL cannot break into their base. My word, UOL, they're using the Baron not as a means to take the objective, but as a means to start the fight. They know that their engage tools are not the strongest. They're better off when H2K force it, and this is why. Notice here, this is the second half of the fight. Earlier on, Maokai had already TP'd in, and this is also the power of Poppy versus the Zac. You have the ability to disengage from his ulti. They shut him down, a really good knock into the wall from Xerxe to be able to get the collapse. And really good turning around, literal, from Unicorns of Love as they make their way back to the back.
Rinse and repeat. Odoamne now knocked away. Where is Zac? Where is the option to steal? There's nothing left. Unicorns of Love, this is going to be their Baron. Nothing gonna steal it. Jankos, one last desperate move, but this could be the fight that changes everything. Suddenly the Kitty Cats are going in, multiple members knocked up. Samux exhausted, but it's not gonna be enough. Febiven trying to dish out the damage. He's moving in, but he's gonna get taken down. Still making his way out. Vizicsacsi is hungry for blood. The Unicorns are relentless. Goodbye, Febiven. UOL take the fight and the Baron.
Unicorns of Love every single time will find the fight that wins them the game. They know that they have the goal lead. They know they can play around the Baron. They know that this battlefield is theirs to control. And H2K have no other options other than to walk into the minefield that is the Unicorns of Love that just dismantle and destroy H2K time and time again. Watch here. Jankos, he cannot get in fast enough. His smite is not within range. Only level 12. You think here that they can just shut down Exile, but thanks to the Spirit's Refuge and the ulti, he's still alive at the end of it. Febiven just dives into the middle. He's like, I can be a hero. But then that's when Exile throws the ulti down and forces him out of the fight. With no front line left for Febiven to hide behind, he's nothing but snakeskin for the boots of the Unicorns of Love.
And literally just hundreds of damage away from that fight, turning against Unicorns of Love. Both Samux and Exile dropped so low, but neither one died. And you can see how much damage the H2K lineup is putting out. But they just cannot compete with the Unicorns of Love right now. Their gold lead proving to be as big of an advantage as they need, as well as their team fighting capabilities. But Vizicsacsi, has he overstepped? The rest of the Unicorns are moving into the mid lane. That Shen gonna take a wild takedown. Damage as well. Febiven keeping it going. CC comes in, but in order to take down Vizicsacsi, they're gonna have to give something up in the mid lane. Hey guys, it looked good, but Unicorns of Love, they're firing back. They're getting something in exchange.
They'll be able to get the tier 2 in the top lane as well. That'll be just enough time to make good use of the Baron buff. 12,000 in the gold, going in favor of Unicorns of Love. 9-3, everything looking so promising. And H2K, you can say it if you want. They still have scaling on their side, but they are not winning these fights. UOL are just playing them too well. They're always fighting them on their terms. They are not overcommitting. They're not overstepping. You're not seeing Exileh walk up and randomly get caught. You're not seeing Chachi. Yes, he is dying in the side lane, but his team is getting something for it. And the Unicorns, this was not the Unicorns that fought Vitality. This was not the Unicorns that almost lost the series to Mysterious Monkeys. This is the Unicorns that all their fans at home expected them to be.
And we have to say, like, this is just this meta, the team fights. It feels so often about whose frontline lives longer. And Shen, 5 members of H2K, 4 members of H2K, taking 15 seconds to kill him. We've seen Odoamne just get deleted when he enters the fights. And that's part of the reason why it just feels so impossible for the H2K lineup. And this was supposed to be their statement, Vedius. And maybe Odoamne can make one now, potentially in trouble. The Shen shield coming in. Do they have the damage to the interruption? Febiven actually taking so much back in return, but he's still alive. Twin Fang healing him up. Their front line has lived longer. Jankos will get taken down. Shen still coming in.
I love the play there from H2K. They use the flash and the binding from Odo to lock down Exileh. He's that low mobility mid lane mage. They get the kill. The Shen ulti is not enough. And Febiven walks away with his life too. That Abyssal Mask coming into fruition. And they're able to trade 2 for 1. Best case scenario, can they find another pick?
Oh! Nice read coming in from Vizicsacsi. Good damage going down, but Spirit's Refuge going to stop a lot of what Nuclear was looking to put out. And of course, just now getting the last Whisper coming in as the 3rd item. Not ideal. But H2K too far against the wall.
Unicorns of love. So let's have a look at how this fight happens. Righteous Glory, flash, binding Odo, uses the ulti too. I love how Febiven just does not give up. He continues his DPS rotation. He wants to make sure that Exileh goes down. They're able to kill Hylissang as well. And yes, they do lose their jungler in exchange, but these are the kind of plays you need to be making. You have to find picks. Slowly crawl your way back into the game, because UOL, they do a lot of damage. And if you try and 5v5 them right now, you're going to lose.
That's the difference. That's the fervor of battle. Well, and the extra more than an item and a half.
Uncensored items. The
thing is, you can kill Exileh, and you have to, because if you don't, he will kill Febiven. And that is a massive concern for your team. But if you don't kill Samux, Samux will kill everybody.
Yep.
And Xayah, I mean, doesn't have the same range, right, in the late game. But definitely can easily match the damage output that a Tristana brings to the table.
Just a fun champion to watch, especially when paired up with Rakan, and especially when these 2 guys are playing the duo. Definitely been a big point of comfort for both AD carry and support. But now let's have a look at how the map is being set up. A lot of vision coming out from Unicorns. Baron spawning in about a minute and a half, so they're not going to hard commit to any more fights. Their goal right now is to just invest in vision. They want to make sure that mid lane is pushed up, they want to make sure top lane is pushed up, and the bottom lane as well. And Chachi, he does not have to join them for the Baron. He just has to keep applying pressure, keep Odo from joining the fight, because especially if you do not have that big tank, then that's an even harder fight that you're going to win if you're H2K.
Poke goes down to Jankos, has to be concerned, but you're absolutely right. The advantage, the global advantage coming in. Still a TP for the Maokai though, can hope to match, but 12K gold lead once again for Unicorns of Love. We have to remember, even if H2K start a fight on their terms, they are items behind, and that means that the ideal situation is a perfect engage, which maybe makes you even going in terms of value. Well, double control work. Waiting for the next Baron. Unicorns of Love playing patient. They know that they own this map completely.
Would be surprised. Yeah, I saw them back in. I'm like, this would be a bit of a surprise because, yes, you restock your vision, but you also lose all the vision that you gained in the enemy's half of the jungle. So, don't want to see them do that. Keep pushing, keep warding in your own half of the map that you want to try and control. Looks like they are going to... playing with my emotions right now, Drakos. Alright, so they're going to back, they'll restock. You can see a bunch of controllers being picked up. You can also see that the item from Hylissang that I always forget the name of has now been restocked on wards. But there are none left on... There you go. There are none left on the tracker's knife.
I thought you were talking about the control wards, and I was like, control wards?
No. So, Chachi right now.
And Vedius, we have to remember that we're pretty much just waiting for Unicorns of Love to force the Baron, right? And they have the vision control now. They're trying to get the mid lane priority, which H2K is heavily contesting. but a single pick in favor of Unicorns of Love guarantees the Baron. A single pick for H2K maybe lets them stall, but it's just a maybe. For the pick, that's going to be engaged. They're now moving forward. Hook not going to follow up, though. Jankos trying to keep this one going. Febiven untouched on the backside. Keep your eyes on the damage dealers. The only people that matter are Hylissang, Nuclear, Febiven. Vizicsacsi leaping forward, trying to get the tank out. Samux, legendary, hand-delivered the kills, and Unicorns of Love, they're just going to move right to the Baron.
Jankos was killed without Exileh needing to use his ulti. That is massive for the Unicorns of Love. There is no smite left available for H2K. There is nothing they can do to challenge this. Another big fight win for the Unicorns.
Unicorns of Love. Almost a 15K gold lead against H2K, the team that finished above them, the team with the bye in the playoffs. This is the Unicorns of Love people were waiting to see, Vedius. We've said it, and I think we just have to keep saying it, because this has been a fantastic game. The patience, but also the aggression when it mattered most, and now they're just walking right into the base. Vizicsacsi, a constant threat on the front line. We could see the final fight momentarily. Oh, we've been engaged. The quickness, gonna find the double knockup. So much damage! Instantly gone! H2K routed, cleaned up. Febiven doing what he can to hold on, but Hylissang is fearless. He's dipping, ducking, diving, dodging right into the base. It's the double kill for Vizicsacsi, Febiven, and Nuclear alongside Jankos. The last stand coming in for H2K. They will hold the base, but UOL, it almost just feels like they're playing with their food.
The wombo combo was massive for the Unicorns. They just ripped through Chei and Odoamne like they were paper. Just throwing around that gold lead. They still have the Baron. We can see how it all happens here. So Hylissang, he throws out the quickness. He wants to get onto Nuclear. He misses. He goes to the next nearest targets. The stun into taunt. Damn, that tank did not look that tanky after that. And while it was a good ulti from Febi, it is too far, too gone this late into the game.
Elder Dragon, moment of truth. Blast cone, not going to be used.
My God, Unicorns of Love. What an interesting team. They always have these high highs and these low lows, but whenever they feel like they need to win, somehow they always find a way. And now, with everything that they could possibly want, they're looking to end the game and continue the rivalry.
H2K committing everything that they have to kill Vizicsacsi. Ladies and gentlemen, this fight does not matter. Keep your eyes on that picture-in-picture. The only thing that matters is if they can kill him fast enough to end the game. He has the Dragon buff. There's nothing you can do. Shen is just going to kill Febiven. He has to flash to safety. Unicorns of Love are ending the game. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot believe my eyes. H2K falling at the hands of Unicorns yet again. Vedius, we said it once. And as the Unicorns of Love close this one out, I will say it again. Superman has kryptonite. H2K have UOL. Undefeated in this head-to-head.
The scriptures have written H2K to defeat the Unicorns of Love. The fans voted H2K to defeat the Unicorns of Love. Deficio proclaimed his faith restored and that H2K would defeat the Unicorns of Love. And what do they say? Nay, not today, as they continue their undefeated streak against H2K.
In 2017, they have been unstoppable, and after game one, I thought there was no way, Vedius, but they found purchase. They trusted execution. I don't even know what to say. It was
clean, man. That was a really good performance.
I am awestruck by the Unicorns of Love. Every time you think you know what to expect, honestly, from both of these teams, they surprise.
And they did it with their style, too. They had a game where they fell behind a little bit and they came back in these mid-game team fights. They had another game where they were actually able to get the early lead and then they transcended that into a big win. And they did it all with a Poppy jungle. Name one other team in Europe, name one other team in the world that picks out this individual strat, this unique playstyle of Poppy jungle and is able to defeat.
And even after that, the thing for me that blows my mind is game two, Vedius. Game three, we got to praise them. They found those early leads, but game two, They went in with a draft that utterly collapsed, that failed them completely, made some small adjustments in the support in the mid lane, and just continued forward. Just relentless. And the confidence and the faith that Cheapy puts in these guys is well-deserved, because I could not say that I would have done the same.
And it's a little bittersweet, because if they were able to defeat Vitality, this series would have put them in first place, but because of game differential, they are locked into second. But it does mean that the fans get more Unicorns of Love. It does mean you get to see them in the quarterfinals, facing off against Misfits. And it does bring in some concerns for H2K moving into that semi-final spot that they locked in for themselves.
And of course, at the end of that series, we have to talk about player of the series. Hylissang gonna get it in the end. And I think when you look at the Trundle game, when you look at the pillars that came up to stop so many engages, and when you look at the Rakan, and realistically, a single kill in the bottom lane that snowballed that entire game in the favor of Unicorn's Love, I don't think you can give it to anybody else.
No, Hylissang, well-deserved. I think that many of the members of the Unicorns had a great series overall. The fact that Chachi was able to outperform Odo throughout the entire series, that Xerxe using the Poppy, a lot of his disengages were great, but the man that really made a lot of those plays, the man that was really a big part of the game-changing decisions was Hylissang on support. And when you give him that comfort of the Rakan, you can truly see what he can do.
We see why they banned it in those games. Well, we have an interview with Exileh and Xerxe coming up shortly. They are getting ready on stage. But in the meantime, just appreciating the moments from that series. And of course, it is the end of the week, and it's our final week in the regular season. And we saw a lot of action here on the Rift. And here are your LCS big plays brought to you by Acer. Now, see, Rocket, they proved to be the Kingslayers once again, stopping G2 in the final week, and they were led by the wonderful Swedish AD carry Hjarnan.
There is Expect going golden for just a second. Sven, he might get caught. No, he's got the pullback. Jumping forward, shut down by Hjarnan. A double kill for the Kalista, and they will clean house under the G2 turrets. This is the Roccat team fight. Looks like the fight has already been turned. They look for Mythic. Expect goes gold. They knock Sven in, and can they take him down? Hjarnan says, yes, we can. Perks around the side, a triple kill, just like that for the Kalista, and it's gonna be the Quadra.
I go for it. Nice. Nice. Go mid, go rumble. Rush mid. Just go mid and net.
This is where the week of upsets began, Drakos, with Roccat upsetting G2, and they continued all the way till the final day.
The EU LCS's own Jamie Lannister. But you're right, they did continue. And Nagne, he was lord of the entire map against Fnatic on Thursday. He came up huge in some of these critical team fights in his play. May Advin97 ask, what did they put in the water at the EU LCS studio today?
Gonna jump in, jump straight to the back line. He's gonna get grounded up. Wild Growth comes out as well, but they cannot keep him alive. Prophet trying to get in with the flank on the back line, but Soas has jumped straight onto Hiku. The unleashed power will knock back Soas. Prophet gets a huge stun. That's a shutdown on Caps, and Soas is dead. Hiku, this is your time to shine, but Reckless, Jezzes, and Broxer will get away.
Far up on the front line. That is a dangerous way to play, but he does get the ultimate out from Caps. Hiku takes a churn and damage, but remember the lifesteal that he has available. The on center as well.
Stun onto Jezzes.
Here we go.
Here comes Shook. The equalizer's gonna split. That's Hiku from the team. That's huge. However, Hiku will be able to back away into the redemption. Knock. Huge stun! And an unleashed power to the face of Soa. He's gonna not quite die. He survives. He's dead. NIP! Vedius!
That's a huge team fight for NIP. People, look at the base. Look at the base. There's still a lot of minions from Fnatic.
Prophet's going back. Can he save the base?
Fnatic.
No way, Reckless. However, Hiku will be able to back away into the redemption. Knock. Huge stun! And an unleashed power to the face of Soa. He's gonna not quite die. He survives. He's dead. NIP! Vedius!
That's a huge team fight for NIP. People, look at the base.
All right, clearly whatever was in the water, Medic also had some of that. That man is out of control. Not that I'm really one to talk, but I mean, some of those stuns and setups, like this is one of those Syndra performances that you have to appreciate. You watch a team fight and you go, oh, he's not getting any of the kills, it's not a performance.
yeah.
But when you land every clutch long-range stun to start team fights in favor of your team, that's just something you have to appreciate.
Yeah, he played really well that series, especially given how far back they were pushed in that game too. His stuns were a big part as to why they were able to survive for so long.
Definitely the case. Well, the Old Kings Fnatic, they've returned to take the throne. They got a lot of praise from H2K's Jankos for their team play against G2. We saw some of this 24 minutes into the game as Soaz came out of left field for a huge Gnar ultimate.
And actually single out like a squishy target or just focus on killing a tank, because you have like Cleaver. Arrow landing on Trick.
Alright, he gets bombed backwards by the barrel, decides to engage with the root. Here comes Expect, looking for Reckless, fries him alive. So far it's a 1-for-1, but with a damage dealer down for Fnatic, how much trouble are they in? There was no perks nearby. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of Fnatic.
Yep.
Every time I see a Gnar do the double hop into Mega Gnar ult that we technically didn't see there, I have X gonna give it to you just playing in my head. Like, I feel like at that point, as you watch a tiny Yordle turn into a giant monster, you just feel doomed.
Yeah,
like,
it's definitely not a favorable position that you want to be in, but Soaz demonstrating once again how well he was able to play it and how well Fnatic ended their regular season.
well, that's going to do it for us this week in Acer Big Plays. And now, Unicorns of Love, they took down H2K for the 4th time in 2017. Let's head over to Pyra for a word with their jungler and mid laner.
Thank you very much, Drakos. And you guys, every single time you met H2K this year, in 2017, you've beaten this team. Everybody's been saying you're the kryptonite. What is it that makes you guys the kryptonite to H2K?
I guess it's just, I'm actually not sure. Like, when I see H2K play, I feel like they're a really good team overall, and they're like doing stuff really well. Like, people have been saying that they have struggles towards team fighting, and this is like, I think one of our strengths, team fighting exactly. And yeah, I'm not really sure like why we consistently beat them, but I think it's just that the weaknesses that we have, like our inconsistency doesn't show up on the day, and then we just perform really well. And yeah, we don't really have a magic formula that helps us.
But do you think maybe it just has something to do with playing to the level of the opponents? You mentioned the inconsistency not showing up. And Xerxe, I mean, does it seem like things just click against this team in particular?
Sometimes like we are really inconsistent, but it seems like against H2K we are always consistent for some reason. So at this point, people should be like used to us beating H2K.
Well, we certainly have to be now. And speaking of consistency, you got Poppy locked in 3 times. You know, I know it's now been one of the new favorite things for you, but what about it makes it so strong to you?
I think it's really good against Zek because obviously if he's champion, you can just press W and you block his entire champion. Then he's stuck in your team and he will get free damage. And then they kept picking like their champions like Gnar, Tristana, and it felt so good to play against.
I bet it does when you manage to crush everybody there. And it's not the only champion that we're starting to see a little bit more of. Exileh, you picked up the Syndra, which is something that, while common around the world, is actually quite a seldom pick for you, but you haven't actually lost on it this year. Why is it not so frequently picked for you?
I feel like Syndra mainly is just, for me, a good pick into Cassiopeia. I feel like that Cassiopeia right now on this patch and on the next patch is like quite in a broken state, because if like a mid laner that has such a short range can build Catalyst and like survive in any matchup, just because of the sustain and how Cassiopeia abuses Catalyst, then I feel like there's something wrong with the champion. However, Syndra is like the complete counterpart. That would be like the best matchup because you don't really have, you have less poke, you have more like an all-in style. And also Syndra goes for the wave, which Cassia has struggles with, like wave clearing. So yeah, it's mainly just comfort pick into Cassiopeia.
Okay, so you guys are definitely playing a lot of these counter matchups and able to prepare them consistently, which is definitely going to help you in the future as well. But there still do seem to be some of those inconsistencies that you mentioned. You faced off against Vitality, weren't able to take them out. What happened on the day?
It's RNG. It's all about like one day we beat everyone, one day we get beaten up by everyone.
So Unicorn's a coin flip, okay.
I think on the Vitality day we played really bad and they played really good and they were pretty confident. We watched the game and we've seen our mistakes and props to them for playing that well.
Absolutely, and I guess it's a shame we won't see him in playoffs, but we will be seeing you guys, of course, in the playoffs. Now, given the fact that you had a bit of an up and down weekend and a bit of an up and down split, do you guys feel that you've ironed all those kinks out and you're ready for the playoffs?
Right now, I think that going towards the playoffs, we're going to change our swim format, that we play 5 games in a row instead of having 2 blocks, and I think that this is going to help a lot to prepare for those best of 5 series. And also I feel like that most teams that we're gonna face right now, it's gonna be Misfits, right? Yeah, I think that we have really good chance against them if we prepare well. And yeah, it's just gonna be training like as for any other week, just that we have a swapped up format. Yeah, and then it's just gonna be to improve as much as we can and take as much away as we can from scrims. And if we can do this, then I think we can come out on top.
Business as usual. I like it. Well, congratulations to you, gentlemen, on closing out the split with a win, and best of luck to you in the playoffs.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, well, with that, we're all wrapped up here with the regular split. So let's go ahead and send it over to the desk for the post-game lobby.